Welcome everyone to UniTea
Welcome.
Live.
Yes, we're so excited to have everybody here. We are going to have a really exciting, and I can just feel the omnipotence of what's about to take place here in this co-collaboration.
Yeah, so much to dive into and explore. And I'm going to read Julia's bio in just a moment, but I just want to share from my personal experience of being a member of Julia's Galactic astrology community. It's such an incredible experience, and the journey just never seems to end. It's constant learning and exploration, and you just go above and beyond with delivering such vast knowledge and hold such incredible space for the community. And so I'm excited to explore that today and all that you're bringing forward to help humanity. So I'm going to share a little bit about Julia for those who aren't familiar. For many years, Julia felt guided to meticulously study astrological charts of her clients after their regression hypnosis QHHT sessions. She was looking for some verification on ET information that came up in so many sessions. As a result of analyzing close to 2,000 astrological charts, including fixed star alignments, Julia feels called to share her research data confirming epic cosmic orchestration and influence on the celestial bodies of our lives, supporting our collective evolution. As a passionate researcher of souls journeying through cosmos, Julia shares her fascinating discoveries on social media and in her online courses. So welcome, Julia. Thank you again so much for being here.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for holding space on this special day. As we said, it's unintentional that we pinned down this day, and it happened to be solar eclipse, new moon, a very powerful day. So I'll definitely touch on that during the conversation. So I'm just really excited to see what will come through as we co-create this moment together. Thank you.
Wonderful. And I know lots who are joining us as well may have questions. The chat is already, filling up with lots of love. So we'll be sure to, try to get to as many questions as possible today. But I would love to start by asking you a little bit about your journey and how you got into galactic astrology.
Sure. Well, I was interested in astrology since my early teens. I had access to astrology books, and I was always a nerd in that regard. But it was January 2014 when I got certified as a quantum healing hypnosis therapist. It's Dolores Cannon's technique. And that's the time when I started working with people one-on-one. And from the get-go, I asked them for their birth details. And because I was passionate about astrology anyway, I would take time after their session with me, after they told me everything about their life, and after they journeyed through several past lives or ancestral lives, whatever you want to call it. I then took time to look at their charts, at their transits and everything, and just see if I can find clues to what they shared and what they experienced in their astrology. And, these experiences were just pulling me deeper and deeper into it, with great excitement and passion, because astrological chart, our natal chart, really is a roadmap that leads us to our destiny. And it's up to us which path we choose. There are many different ways how we can get there. What I've noticed through listening to people's life stories and then seeing their chart is that if you listen to your inner guidance, the journey can be quite enjoyable and pleasant and amazing and magical. But if you don't, and if you listen perhaps to other people's beliefs and opinions, it can get quite challenging and unpleasant, and all kinds of things happen. They try to divert you towards your path that's very unique to you. So I feel very blessed that I'm able to kind of experience this and kind of peek behind the curtain of creator of our own higher selves, planning our lives. And it's just so magical. It really is epic. The intelligence, divine intelligence that is behind this and how the universe works is just, I'm forever in awe and, eternal student of life. So that's how I got introduced to astrology. With regards to facilitating quantum healing hypnosis sessions, holding space for clients go through different life's experiences. We can call them parallel lives or past or future or ancestral or just metaphoric stories to help them understand their journey better. At some point, when I kind of cosmic connections to different human races from other star systems, I started attracting naturally clients who were experiencing these things in their own sessions. So at some point, I was guided to start exploring the fixed stars, such as Sirius, Arcturus, different stars in Pleiadian cluster, Orion, and so on. And I was just looking, didn't know what for, but I was exploring that in my clients' charts. And you know, when you look for answers, when you have questions, the answers start coming. So through various synchronicities, I started seeing patterns and clues that I gathered over time. And at some point, I started talking to my clients about these discoveries. The information deeply resonated. And at one point, I created online courses because it's such a large topic that it's really difficult to share it with someone over an hour or two. It really required structured, you know, modules and lessons and breaking it down and going deeper into topics. So there are several courses now created.
Wow, that's amazing. And, you know, you're bringing such a depth to the field of astrology. And, you know, I've heard you share that in the beginning, you would be doing these calculations manually before you know, developed this incredible software, you know, co-created the development of the software. But, you know, could you share the layer that fixed stars bring to the field of astrology?
Yes. So as I reflected on what I will share today, I recall how I was holding space for my clients. They would easily spend 2 hours talking about their life experience. At one point, when I was already getting familiar with the fixed stars in astrological charts, I started looking at my clients' charts before they arrived to their session. And if I saw that they had alignments to, let's say, Pleiades or Sirius or Arcturus, I would pay closer attention to any clues that it might say through communicating their life story. And indeed, I started noticing very precise patterns of behavior and belief system, and also the frequency flavor of their being. So I've shared this several times that, and I share this example because it's so easy to spot for everyone. I think the easiest one is that whenever someone has a connection to Pleiades, any of the stars in Pleiades like Alcyon or Taygeta, Maya, and so on, they tend to have quite fast-paced language. Yes.
Yeah.
And they are kind of multitaskers, very passionate about, very, you know, enthusiastic and joyful about everything, just eager to learn and focusing on the brighter side of life. And then whenever I had clients who had Sirian alignments, Sirius A or Sirius B, they were speaking much slower, like significantly slower pace of talking, and then the Pleiadian starseeds. And they always felt very grounded, very wise, nothing fazed them, you know, two completely contrasting energies. So I invite the viewers to start paying attention to this. And if you have access to birth charts, I will demonstrate later how you can find out if these fixed stars are connected to the natal chart. So these are just one simple example. So I'm really grateful that I was trained through life experience over the years to kind of fine-tune my ability to sense the frequency of certain star systems. So they definitely impact how we perceive the world, how we show up in this world. And there are many nuances to it. It depends what planet the fixed star is aligned to, what astrological house it is falling into. Each house represents different life areas. Then depends on the transits of these stars and our planets. It's very complex, but there really is something to it. And I did my best to share as much information as I gathered with my students in the courses, and I do my best to share it online for free here as well. You know, if it excites you, if there are people here that I'd like to research and dig deep, if you feel excited about this, you will be forever entertained, but not just entertained, it's valuetainment, I find, because it really helps you connect, reconnect, and remember aspects of your being that are ancient, that are incredibly wise and skilled and capable of dealing with whatever life brings you. It really helps you show up into your divine leadership and help making this world a better place. So it's not for entertainment, it's really to help us grow into the best versions of ourselves to help to make this world a better place. So I hope it'll be received that way.
Yeah, it feels so massive as I'm connecting, you know, and we're hearing everything you're bringing through. It's interesting, the visuals that are coming in for me. Like, you know, I'm seeing, as you're talking and as you're sharing and as you're kind of bringing forth the greater awareness of how you've, you know, been magnetized to this and have brought everything through, I'm seeing like, even like how the evolution of what it, you know, what you are bringing through and how that's going to be stretching, you know, into these multiversal systems, even beyond our universal system. And yeah, how it truly already, from what you're, you know, because I really am just you know, becoming aware of this type of astrology through Emily and you. Yeah, I don't know. I just have this like excitement brewing in me now. It just seems like, to your point already, what you've already brought through and what you've, you know, unfolded and continue to unfold is so infinite. And then there's like, but wait, there's more, so much more. So yeah, this is so exciting.
Yeah, it is. It's so exciting, and I think it provides, you know, as you're sharing, just such a depth of understanding of our galactic lineage, of our soul's journey, and it really helps to, you know, provide a fuller picture. And so I'm so curious to ask you, when looking at your own chart, what are some of the alignment, you know, the fixed star alignments that really, you know, stand out for you?
That's a tough question because I think I have the most complex galactic astrology chart I've ever come across. I really have a multitude of different star systems, but the ones that I hold dearest are a connection to Pleiades, Andromeda, Antares, Aldebaran, Stargate, Galactic Center, the Great Attractor, and I'll be talking about these later, Tau Ceti, Lyra, Orion. There are many, and they all make sense. Altair, Polaris, and these are conjunct and opposite alignments, so they're quite significant. And I was able to connect to them and receive information about who I may have been in different versions of my soul experience, and it all added clues to why I am the way I am, and it gave me greater courage to pursue this path and talk about these things and just really be who I came here to be. So it's like adding missing pieces of the puzzle, and you suddenly see the bigger picture, and it's very liberating and empowering and humbling at the same time.
Mm-hmm. You know, we hear the term starseed so much now, and you know, for me, it's, you know, connecting with such a distinct, you know, unique flavor for the different fixed stars. And when you're bringing that through, when you're talking about the Pleiades, when you're talking about Andromeda, you know, Orion starseeds, it really helps to paint a clearer picture. So I'd love if you could share a little bit more. You talked about the Pleiadians and Sirian starseeds. What about Andromeda?
Yeah, they always seem to have this graceful presence about them. They're very beautiful inside and out. Usually the challenges they struggle with is being limited by circumstances or other people's belief system in their earlier years. And it's very frustrating. It really stirs something in their soul. And they're called to actually break free from these limitations in their own experience, and then teach others how to break free from limiting beliefs, perspectives, circumstances, and really live their best lives. They love, they know how to appreciate good things in life, including material things, but also good at connecting with the spiritual side of life. And some of them are quite techy, tech savvy, but others seem to just be more free spirits that want to stay away from technology and really enjoy life in their experience. But the theme seems to be about limitations and breaking free with the Andromedans. Yeah.
I just, yeah, I can, it's interesting as you're bringing this through. It's, it's so on point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad.
You've shared recently about the Orion Nebula. I'd love if you could touch on that a little bit.
Yes, so part of our online calculator, which I'll show shortly, hopefully, we included Orion Nebula, which sits at around 25 degrees of Gemini. So I find people that have Orion Nebula either conjunct and opposite in their chart, they seem to have these, the only way I can describe it is like angel in human form frequency. They're very graceful, soft, gentle, very compassionate, and almost naive to the point that you can tell that they don't have too much experience with being in human form and living in polarity. It's alien to them to experience manipulation tactics and people who are deceiving. It's just new to them, and it's difficult for them to experience that in their earlier years. And it's all about learning to grow stronger, recognizing their purity of their soul and allowing that to heal them, and then bring that angelic, pure light, love frequency to earth. I believe that they are learning about the shadow side through attracting other people that are manipulative, egocentrical, narcissistic, and you can then see in those types of people's chart that they have certain fixed stars alignments, kind of validating that. But these angelic souls, they like to learn through others about the shadow side, and then eventually they grow thicker skin and it's easier, and they just allow themselves to be angelic. And then once they go through the transformation, they start to attract people who are safe for them to open up to and play with. They often work with rainbow frequency generation and diamond kids. They feel much more comfortable with those younger generations. So I hope that answers the question.
Yes, beautiful.
Yeah, I'm curious because, I don't necessarily, have the background of the astrology, but I go in and interpret, the quantum field through sort of different systems of communication. And when you're talking about like the diamond rainbow, children or beings, right? Because some of us here have the template for it and are activating it during this time, but yet we didn't come in with it already activated to the degree in which, these new waves of children are coming in and expressing, or at least this is, the perspective that I'm given on it. So, but some of these beings I noticed, basically encompass, and I don't know, so I'm curious if this is reflected in their charts, every single star system, every single planetary system within the scope of our universal system, and then well beyond that. But it's like when I look at their blueprint, their quantum blueprint, it's it's wow, okay, there is just like, they literally are like a diamond with infinite facets, like mirroring like every single star system and planetary system here. So I'm curious, if that's your experience too.
Beautiful point. Awesome. I haven't had the pleasure of looking at charts of younger generations much, but I bet that if you look at their astrology, they will have galactic center, super galactic center, the great attractor or the Shapley point attractor in their charts. More so super galactic center, I sense. Mm-hmm. So it's something that we've added to our free online calculator, so people can go into this website called galacticastrology.com put in your child's or teenager's details and look for these greater cosmic points that act as portals to infinite potentials within this multiverse. What I find through working with adults who have these points in their chart, they are naturally wired to perceive cosmic consciousness, and it's very natural for them to talk about starseed topics. They are very in tune with the collective frequencies, but they feel the planets, they feel the stars, they feel the galaxies. And it's, I believe, because they have these major cosmic points directly conjuncting or opposing some of their planets. It's the strongest when it's connected to their Neptune or Mercury, or Moon, Sun. You know, there's few, but Neptune and Mercury, because they really are like a gateway to our mind, and with Neptune to higher consciousness. When it's there, it seems like full on. And it's not easy, you know, it's challenging to be wired that way. It's, and especially in earlier years when you don't really understand that what, you know, what's yours and what's not, what's everyone else's. It can be very difficult, but eventually you receive guidance and support, and you can integrate it, ground it. Grounding is super important for anyone who has these major cosmic points. Just getting present in the physical body, connecting with the earth, whatever. There are so many different ways. Grounding really helps to stay sane with all that quantum data.
Yeah, I'm so curious. What's coming through as well is, do you, in this flow of astrology, is there an awareness with the chart as to what sort of portal or of dimensional consciousness one incarnates through, or you know, is there relevance to that within, you know, this particular type of astrology?
Yes, yeah, I understand your question. It seems that souls who come here as highly advanced and who really are able to navigate dimensions effortlessly, when they incarnate into this human body, some of the alignments will have galactic center conjuncting or opposing, or they'll literally have the opposing and conjunct alignment through different planets. When the galactic center sits on either the ascendant, sun, moon, or the lunar nodes as well, seem to indicate that when we look at their soul records, it seems that they didn't necessarily have lives on Earth, yet they feel very ancient, old, and able to deal with polarity. So it's the galactic center conjunctions that seem to indicate that type of soul ability to just come here to anchor this divine unified consciousness and being comfortable with polarity at the same time.
So fascinating.
I love it. Yeah. You know, you're sharing about these cosmic points. You know, one of the things that I've found interesting recently in sessions is these royal star alignments that are showing up, and you know, so many light workers that are here. Can you share a little bit about the royal stars and how that might tie to a soul mission here on Earth?
Yes, gladly. Your connection is breaking up a little bit, but I understood you're asking about the four royal stars. So going back to ancient Persia, the astronomers and astrologers there identified 4 stars that were given the significance of being the guardians of heaven. So travelers needed a point of direction. They would look at these 4 cardinal directional stars. So these are Aldebaran, Antares, Fomalhaut, and Regulus. So we started paying attention to these as well in people's charts, and it seems people who have alignments to these charts, they are extra aware of their deep desire to make a powerful impact on the collective. So the Fomalhaut star in Pisces, Austrinus constellation, people with that alignment seem to be passionate about topics of mysticism, mysteries of life. They often have experiences with anything to do with Jesus, Christ, Yeshua, or even Buddha, depending on what culture you're in. They have a lot of synchronicities with that consciousness, and they feel deeply guided to speak truth and to guide people towards healing and kind of the ascension process. And they tend to do it through communication or through healing arts as well. Archangel Gabriel is associated with this star, and it really is manifesting in people's lives when they have Fomalhaut alignment. If we look at their past lives, as I regress so many, they would have had past lives connected to being either scribes or priests or teachers of higher wisdom in ancient times or more recent times, and a lot of wounding related to that too, because humanity wasn't ready in our dark night of the soul cycle of Earth to receive that higher wisdom and use it for benefit of all. So they're healing a lot of that wounding in that life and kind of reclaiming their natural ability to feel safe to speak about higher frequency topics. Then if we have regular starseeds connections, it comes through two different ways. There is one group that seem to be very ethereal. They feel very inclined to connect with stories of unicorns, rainbows, ethereal beings, pixies, fairies, and all that kind of fantasy world. And if we regress them through hypnosis, they will experience themselves as a fairy, as an elemental, as, you know, all these beings. These are realms that exist, and they have their meaning and their purpose. And they're called in this life to bring these stories back. They come as the writers or work with children and kind of bring back the comfortable way of talking about these things. So that's wonderful. And then we have other regular starseeds that come as leaders, and they have connection to past lives with higher social status, either royalty or politics or other way, powerfully influencing greater collective. Then we have Antares starseeds, who seem to be able to be really strategic and able to perceive very complex topics and always see many, many steps ahead of. They're very goal oriented, and they're able to achieve these goals. On a shadow side, these Antarian starseeds often show up, or the Antarian connection often shows up in charts of generals and politicians that are strategic about where they're going. But on a brighter side, in the starseeds mode, these Antarian starseeds choose work where they are bringing higher dimensional frequencies to the collective and to individuals. I've seen Antares connections in many of the quantum healing hypnosis practitioners or any of the light workers, because I find the Antarian connection to any of the planets seems to act like a activation point, like you act like a stargate if you have Antares conjunctions or oppositions, and it's easier for others to connect to their higher self or to reach higher dimensions of their being because they are close to you. So something that I've noticed so many times that I can confidently assign it to Antarian starseeds is that in their life experience, they are guided to move a lot, whether through changing work or schools, or their parents are moving for whatever reasons, or online, they connect with people worldwide. And it's that frequency that wants to be spread to as many people as possible. So that's quite fascinating to see. And then the last one that I didn't mention is the Aldebaran connection in Taurus constellation. They feel that they seem to have past lives connected to ancient Egypt. And some of them have connection to the Anunnaki stories, whether service to self or service to others. There is a sense of a deep desire of bringing justice to this world, restoring balance and harmony, and speaking for those that don't know how to speak for themselves. They are protectors, guardians. There is this Archangel Michael frequency coming through very strongly with anyone who has Aldebaran in their chart. and they will be the ones that cannot stay quiet if there is misuse or injustice done. They will fight until justice is served. So it's quite amazing to see that too, yeah, how it shows up in people's lives.
Incredible.
Yeah, I don't even, there's so much expansive energy taking place right now. I'm like, I feel like a kid in a candy store. I'm like, oh my gosh, so exciting. I know that you had mentioned that you wanted to bring forth, there were some things that you kind of bookmarked that you wanted to present, you know, and share. Would this be a good time to kind of integrate
Yes.
that in? Okay.
Perfect, thank you. So as Emily mentioned earlier, when I started doing this research, I was calculating everything manually, and it took me 3 hours plus to check all the fixed stars and see if they're present in person's chart. But luckily, our dear friend now and our student Hector, who is a software developer, he created a software, and naturally we gifted this to everyone to freely use. So it's called, the website is called Galactic. Oh, am I sharing screen? No.
Not yet.
Here, hold on. So the website we have created for everyone's use is called galacticastrachart.com. This is what it looks like. Hold on, I'll just hide this. No, this one. This. Okay, so galacticastrachart.com. When you click on the free reports, go to either desktop or mobile, whichever device you're using, and enter your details to what will then appear, your birth details, and then click import natal data. When you copy this information, sorry, we can't make it any easier than this, but eventually the report will calculate what fixed stars are aligned to. Yeah, I had that page open for way longer. Here, this is what it will look like. This is what the reports look like. So if you leave the trine, sextiles, squares unpicked, that's what I recommend. You just look at conjunct and opposite alignments. They are the most significant, and especially if you have a busy chart with a lot of them, it'll give you plenty of information to work with for weeks or months to come. And if you want, then you can also look at trine, sextiles, and square alignments. They all have different meaning, and we go into details of this in the courses. But this will show you what stars are aligned to the planets at the time when you were born, because I do believe that in order for a soul who is deeply connected to, for example, Pleiadian star system, lived there for many incarnations, and now wants to come to Earth to, for whatever reason, in order for that soul to incarnate here, the Pleiadian star system will need to be in geometrical, mathematical alignment with our sun or any of the planets in order for the soul to be born into the physical reality. So that's what it shows us really through this calculator. But what I wanted to talk about today was the transits, to help people kind of remember and connect to their galactic aspects at the times when it's easiest for them to do that. And that happens during transits. So I want to show you a website called The Planets Today, where you can put in any date and look at the movement of planets in our solar system, see where everything is visually. I find it really helpful. So today, for example, we had Moon right in front of the sun, causing this partial solar eclipse. And then behind the sun, we have Venus and Haumea, which is a dwarf planet. So whatever is behind the sun, and then if we extend this view, we will have different star systems. And the Shapley attractor, which I talked about in my blog yesterday on my website, the planets that are behind the sun are helping to usher in cosmic energies from these star systems through sun rays to Earth, or through Moon and to Earth, or through any of the planets to Earth. It's just, they're like the planets and the sun, they're like the amplifiers of frequencies coming from cosmos towards our star system, towards Earth. So there are, different planets are taking different time to go through the entire orb. And if we look at it astrologically, we have 12 archetypal zodiacs that each represent different aspects of our human experience. So when these planets move through these different zodiac degrees, they are activating different aspects of the experience. Like today, for example, we have the solar eclipse occurring in very early degrees of Scorpio. So a lot of the emotions that are deeply hidden, perhaps even in the unconscious or subconscious mind, can come up to surface, can be stirred, and can be reviewed to help us heal, find greater clarity, and become better version of ourselves, more liberated, more empowered. So that's really the purpose of that movement, to help us constantly move higher and higher towards higher frequency, towards greater evolution, greater connectivity, greater harmony. So my point here is that there are some planets like Pluto, Neptune, Uranus that take decades to go through a zodiac sign. But then there are planets in our solar system that go through zodiac sign very quickly. So the fastest one is the moon, which only takes about 2.5 days to go through zodiac sign. So I suggest to the viewers to start paying attention to the movement of the moon through your natal chart. And you can look at your natal chart by using so many freely available websites. My favorite to use is astroseed.com. It will show you the houses, and each house has a different meaning. I go through all this in our courses, but hopefully when viewers are rewatching this, you can take a snapshot of this and you have a brief description of what the different life areas each house means, and the associations with different zodiac signs and planets. So I hope this will help. So let's say you feel drawn to the Andromedans. So when you go to our website, galacticastrochart.com, there is another free tool. When you click on this first tab, click on the stars degrees, and then choose current year, 2022, it'll list all the fixed stars in our free report that we selected and recalculates their position on the sky based on the year. So let's say you want to connect with the Andromeda or Galactic Center. I'll go with the Galactic Center for this example. We see that this year, Galactic Center is sitting at 27 degrees, 10 minutes of Sagittarius. So in order to connect with the supra intelligence of Galactic Center, this mighty divine influence, you want to pay attention to when Moon is moving through 27 degrees of Sagittarius. It'll happen every 28 days. In order for you to find out when that happens, you can go to astroseed.com and either go to transits chart or daily astro chart. They have so many different free tools that you can use, and you can find out when Moon is in Sagittarius. And when it is there at that degree, you can schedule time to go within, meditate with the intention to connect with the highest light, highest wisdom, highest love of the Galactic Center to support your evolution, your healing, whatever is most relevant for you at this time of your life to grow, to heal, whatever it is that you're looking for. Always have to be very clear on the intention when you're connecting with cosmic energies, but you can then sense with your consciousness the Moon ushering in the cosmic energies coming from the Galactic Center. At these points, it may be much easier for you to actually receive a download, receive a vision of you experiencing different lives in other star systems, and so on. There's one more really important point in terms of the transits. Today we're experiencing solar eclipse. Some people will find it really triggering. Some people will find it like, oh my God, it blessed their life. in many ways. Various events can happen, and some people will experience absolutely nothing. And this is because these transiting points are activating something in your life at the time when they are hitting on the astro degrees of your natal chart. When you were born into this physical reality, the planets were sitting at a certain degree. So if we have moon transiting every 28 days, 19 degrees of Gemini, which would be my natal moon, I will feel more in tune with star systems that are connected to 19 degrees of Gemini, which is Nihal and Lepus constellation, very much connected to the indigo frequency, indigo flame. So, you know, when you look for degrees that are in your natal chart and then look at the transiting planets degrees, usually the ones that are matching with your natal charts, something actually may occur, or you may have a powerful experience. So, you know, if you're experiencing nothing during the solar eclipse, it's likely because it's not hitting any of the points of your chart.
Yes, that's such a great point to really look at your own natal chart and see what's being activated. As you mentioned, you know, this eclipse is taking place at 2 degrees of Scorpio. So
yeah. So I have an example here of a chart who has nothing, no planets present in his natal chart at 0 or early degrees of Scorpio. So this solar eclipse is like any other day. But there's another chart here that has Saturn and Pluto kind of surrounding the eclipse degree and opposing Venus. So this person will feel a lot of activation. This is my chart. Luckily, I worked a lot with Saturn and Pluto, so I pray that they'll be graceful and rewarding rather than bringing more stuff in. But it seems to be really like a blessing period in my life. I don't want to jinx it. So really pay attention to the degrees of your natal chart and then work with the transiting planets and see which of these fixed stars you're interested in. Find your degree, and you can become more consciously aware and involved with the cosmos working with you, because it really is eager to help you evolve and grow.
I love that. I'm so curious. This keeps popping in, so I'm going to bring it forward. So as someone reaches higher and higher and higher states of, you know, conscious access, right, or what could be termed, you know, greater embodiment of self-realization and ascension, do they in some way sort of almost transcend their blueprint or move to another? Is there another tier, or, you know, is there some sort of graduated sort of expression of what is participated in then?
Oh, such a wonderful point. Yes, there are so many humans that have worked for decades on their inner shadow. They've transmuted so much. They work on their childhood issues, ancestral issues, past lives issues. They understand their astrology, whether intuitively or through actual mind study. And they feel like they have integrated all 12 archetypal frequencies of consciousness and feel like, you know, neutral, peaceful quantum sphere of light and able to perceive anything and everything and really tap into anything and everything and understand everyone deeply because they understand themselves deeply. So I find as I work on myself that when these often seen as difficult transits occur, they aren't really bringing more stuff in for clearing because things were dealt with. There's always evolution and growth opportunity with them, but it's not difficult and heavy as it used to be. So yes, absolutely, there is constant progression. And when you get to a point that we mentioned earlier, people tend to really start tapping into these cosmic frequencies. And when galactic center comes through, or super galactic center, the great attractor, or point beyond it, Shapley attractor, they receive powerful activations, and they are now the ones that start anchoring multi-galactic, multi-universal frequencies of consciousness and higher understanding that then becomes easily available to others. It's like you're the pioneers, the forerunners, to make it easier for others in their own time, you know?
Yeah, well, that's exciting.
Yeah. So with that, I want to mention that people who are at that point, they feel about astrology like, nah, whatever, I don't care, I don't need. And it's right, because you don't have to understand astrology with your mind. We are designed in this amazing way to intuitively live in alignment with the cosmos. I cannot tell you how many times, like today's call, as one little example, I cannot tell you how many times me or anyone else I know who understands astrology, without looking at astrology, we will naturally plan certain events in our life. And then when you look at the chart, it's like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to do. The heart knows, you know, so.
Yeah, I love it. You know, as you're saying that, I'm seeing, you know, the original angelic template, or, you know, I know it's termed in so many different ways, and it holds so many different blueprints within it, right? So the monadic body, you know, the oversoul, right? But as you're talking about that, I'm seeing how basically, you know, the diamond structure that is resurrected through this level of participation and ascension literally comes into, you know, in the wholeness, you know, of each cell within is, you know, a very clear and accurate reflection of the entire 12 archetypes, as well as, like, yeah, I don't know how to describe this, like, you know, the mirror of the universe within, like, the cellular structure, like, perfectly intact. So that's exciting.
Yeah, I get you. Yes.
Yeah.
It fascinates me, the fractal of our universe and the holographic design of the universe forever fascinates me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've received so many incredible questions. I want to read one of them from Stephen. What would it indicate if your descriptions of these star seeds all resonate? And in other words, this person has experienced 98% of the examples you gave as indicators of the specific star seeds. And so he can see the Palladian and Andromeda tendencies. He's never identified as that specific star seed.
I have to say, I keep attracting a lot of souls whom I call multi-galactic star seeds. And this soul, you know, whoever wrote that, I bet they have multiple star systems in their chart, and that's why they feel that way. I have to say, Antares and Aldebaran, more so Antares star seeds, they feel like that. They don't have a need to attach to any particular label of a star seed. They feel equally valuing all of them, and it doesn't really matter which one, and they can connect to variety of them as well. That's the beauty of the Antares Aldebaran. It's like a stargate within the chart that is able to activate a variety of different frequencies. They are the royal stars, and same actually goes with Fomalhaut and Regulus. That's I suppose royalty of archangelic umbrella beings, consciousness that perhaps understands the blueprints and is able to just go with whatever. It's all good, and you kind of shift shape depending on the situation. Very adaptable individuals, very resourceful. Yeah.
That makes so much sense. You know, we explored North Node astrology when we had Pam Gregory on UniTea recently, and you know, I'm just wondering if you could add. I think it can be helpful to, you know, when you're looking at your North Node, study the fixed stars as well as an added layer and dimension upon, you know, your soul mission here. Could you share maybe your perspective on that and any, you know, examples that come up?
Yeah, this might be a good point to bring in the other aspects like trines, sextiles, and squares. So if you'll find stars aligned to your nodes in a trine aspect, they tend to be star beings collectives or just a frequency of a collective consciousness coming from that star system, let's say, for example, Andromedan, if that star is trining your north node or south node, it's really the soul's evolutionary journey, it's trining your soul's evolutionary journey, it is a frequency that is available for you to use and apply in whatever challenging situations may occur in relation to your south north nodes. So you can call on now more consciously to that fixed star system, highest light, highest love, always, to help you deal with it. But because it's trine, it's something that seems to be already integrated within your soul matrix. It's likely something that you've used in previous incarnations. It's natural for you to deal with certain things by tapping into that frequency of the fixed star that is trining your lunar nodes. If you have a sextile stars to your lunar nodes, then that frequency comes, the help or support, the divine guidance or divine synchronicity comes from outside in your experience. It's not like you're reaching within your soul to apply the skill. It comes from outside in, whether through people that will have those fixed stars alignments in their charts too, or situations, or whatever it may be. Because it's lunar nodes, they're opposing each other, you will always have sextiles and trines of the same star within the south and north node. So when you see sextiles and trines to the nodes, they come as a great blessing. So you can now more consciously work with that frequency and apply it. And then if you have a square to lunar node, there can be some challenge related to that star system that you need to revisit in this incarnation and transcend. And in that experience, it'll help you grow towards your greater potential. So there are two different ways of how the squares can show up. Let's say you have Orion squaring your lunar nodes. It can be an experience from your own soul, either in Orion star systems or on Earth, in connection to Orion beings, being involved with the Earth, or through other people that have Orion alignments that will make it really challenging for you to fulfill your soul's journey. They'll put bricks under your feet, and you will have to work extra hard to dig deep and find the strength and resourcefulness to overcome the challenges of the square. But in that experience, you will really grow and become a greater, better version of yourself. So that's one way that where if you look at your soul records, you will actually see there was some unresolved situations that have very similar emotional charge that you're revisiting and guided to find a better way. Or it can be, let's say, if you have Arcturus squaring your lunar nodes, you associate Arcturus with highly advanced, beautiful, compassionate, loving, deeply healing consciousness. So if that's squaring, what does that mean? Usually that means that the frequency of Arcturus is really difficult for you to integrate and work with on your soul's journey. Like there is this big contrast in your physical human reality, consciousness. Let's say you live surrounded by people that are very focused on social status and material things and me, myself, and I. And if you have this deep desire to integrate Arcturian frequency into that life, but it's causing inner struggle because it's so different from that journey. So eventually in time, that square, through that inner tension, steering up your inner questioning, who am I? Why am I choosing to be this way? Eventually breaking free and allowing yourself to integrate the Arcturian connection and shine it brightly, no matter what the immediate environment may feel like or think about that experience. So if it's high vibe star squaring, it's usually very challenging in earlier years to embody that frequency, but you're guided to find a way and find a healthy compromise where you don't judge them for being lower frequency focused. And the sooner you drop the judgments, the less you feel judged as well. Everyone feels accepted, and you can find a neutral, compromising way to live side by side. So that's the ideal of the square transcended.
Mm.
Mm.
One question that's come through is around if you do not have any placements in your north and south node, what would that signify?
We are always exploring greater and greater points in our universe. So I would say sit tight and wait for further points that we can explore. But in the meantime, I would just focus where you have alignments and work with that energy. It's like the lack consciousness that then, moves us to focus on what's not there. Let it go and focus on what's there, work with that. And there is so much guidance in astrology, regardless of fixed stars. You can learn so much through any of the planets just by sitting in a certain zodiac degree, in a certain house, plenty of guidance there. So just focus on what is available and work with that. Just a few months ago, when we didn't add the greater galactic points to our calculator, there were people who didn't have alignments there. But now when we added those extra degrees, suddenly they uncovered an amazing part of their soul history and soul connections. So there may be something discovered later that will actually be of significance. And I also want to highlight our free calculator only includes 63 different points, different stars. There are hundreds upon hundreds more. And in the course, I teach how to go find further resources to explore other options. So.
Yeah, this is such a massive activation that's taking place. I wish I could have a screen share of what's happening in my third eye. So
I missed that. I missed that. Can you repeat it, please?
Oh, yeah, I said, this is such a massive activation that you're bringing forth and a massive transmission. I said, I wish I had a screen share for what's taking place in my third eye right now.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Do you have time, Julia, for a few more questions?
Yes, I see several actually coming up about the Shapley attractor. There's so little information about it. I'm going to share my screen for a little bit again. Just bear with me. I have an amazing visual that will help me talk about it. There is a great astrologer and researcher called Philip Sedgwick, who has done a lot of research on Shapley attractor, and actually he inspired us to start paying attention to this and add the point to our free calculator. But I'll first show this visual. We have Earth that is directly influenced by the sun. The sun is directly influenced by the magnetic attraction of the galactic center. Galactic center is influenced by the supergalactic center. Then we have the great attractor and Shapley attractor. And if we change the visual, this is what it looks like. This local group includes our Milky Way galaxy, the galactic center, and the supergalactic center. Then we are pulled towards the great attractor, which is another cluster of 30 plus galaxies. And that is pulled towards Shapley attractor, which is a cluster of huge amount of galaxies. There are hundreds of thousands of galaxies that our astronomers have recognized. It feels infinite, really, surely is. So the Shapley attractor is this mighty, mighty magnetic force that is invisible. We are not really consciously aware of it, yet it is influencing all of us and everything in our Milky Way galaxy. So Philip Sedgwick, who started studying this from the astrology perspective, he started noticing Shapley attractor, which is sitting at around 2 degrees of Scorpio, being present in charts of extremely prominent people who are influencing the entire human population. So for example, Hillary Clinton's sun is conjunct Shapley. Vladimir Putin's ascendant is conjunct Shapley. Bill Gates' sun and Pluto or Uranus is conjunct Shapley. So, these are individuals that are influencing everyone's lives, whether we know it or not. So it's just a really good example of how Shapley works. It is pulling everything towards it. So if you look at your chart, look at what is sitting in a proximity of 2 degrees of Scorpio. Are there any planets there? Or if there's nothing there within 10, even 12 degrees, or in both directions, then what is the life area where that is sitting for you? And then start noticing if any of the planets that are maybe opposing it or in direct alignment with it, are they actually pulled towards that? So early degrees of Scorpio is all about digging deep into the hidden, unconscious part of ourselves that reveal the greatest mysteries, greatest secrets. So perhaps, you know, archetypally speaking, that point of creation is the most crucial one because it gets to the core of everything. It brings us to the truth of our being. So whenever we have planets transiting that 2 degrees of Scorpio, maybe pay attention to Moon transiting that point every 28 days. Are you guided to dig deeper? And maybe do you have dreams that are showing something that you kind of put under the carpet, but it's coming up? You know, it could be your consciously now activated point of revelations.
That's exciting. Yeah, beautiful share. Julia, I want to make sure we share about your course offerings. You know, please share, and I'd love to just share my perspective of being a participant in your course. It's a never-ending journey, much like this call. It's just constant nuggets and wisdom and so much, such a beautiful community to be a part of. So I'd love if you could share with listeners how they can engage and learn more.
Thank you so much. And with that, actually, I want to say that, you know, we can reach different type of viewer with different level of consciousness. If you're completely new to this, it can be overwhelming. So I want to invite you to just take a deep breath and be okay with not knowing it all at once, and just get excited about the long journey that this is taking you on. If you feel excited and called towards exploring these connections for yourself through astrology. If you find it overwhelming and your body's literally telling you like, oh my God, this is too much, I'm gonna lose it, take a few deep, long breaths and leave it. Just allow it to be parked somewhere at the back of your mind and just focus on your present moment in the here and now, because at the end of the day, that's what matters the most. No matter how much knowledge and understanding you'll have of your chart and of your fixed stars alignments, it always goes down to what choices do you make in your everyday now moment that make you feel good, that make you feel healthy and in harmony with the world. So, you know, don't get lost in all this. Just do whatever excites you. So I'm going to share my screen and show the courses. So if you go to starseed.teachable.com or just go to my main website, galacticastrology.com, and then you click on the courses, it'll take you to this page. I started with a higher self connection course many years ago because it was something that I was helping my clients with. The goal is always to learn to recognize the difference between the ego thoughts and the higher self thoughts, or the higher heart guiding you towards your greatest potential. So I'm getting amazing feedback on this. Very practical course, easy to go through, and it can be invaluable to help you recognize the higher guidance. Then there's kind of basic astrology course called Life Purpose Astrology, where we focus on how can you find out what brings you greatest happiness, alignment, prosperity. Then we have the Galactic Astrology 101 course. It's still quite complex, although it's kind of the foundational course. It's not something you can do in a few days. It takes time. And then there is a practitioner course, which is very complex. It can take several months, even a year to go through. So, and then plenty of free information on my YouTube channel, which is called Galactic Astrology as well. Thank you.
Incredible.
Yes.
Yeah, this was such a beautiful and expansive, beyond word experience to kick off this very auspicious
Potent
day. Yes.
Thank you. With that, I want to just say that the solar eclipse, the way it is wired and arranged with all the planets, it's calling us to pause and reflect on anything that's unfinished, really look at stuff that is under the carpet and take time to deal with it, resolve it, because there is a massive activation ahead of us. So you really want to prepare the foundation and be ready to deal with massive activation that's coming. And I don't mean any very particular event, it's just an ongoing process of rapid evolution of consciousness. So take these next few days, even weeks, to reflect on unresolved emotions or clutter or whatever it is. Take your time to get ready.
I love that. Yes, that's great advice. So grateful for you, Julia. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been such a beautiful, illuminating conversation. And thank you to everyone listening and joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. I'm wishing everybody a blessed and magnificent rest of the week.
Be well. Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.